What if I told you that a young quarterback, a fifth-round rookie with a famous last name and a loyal fan base, is making serious waves in Cleveland? That despite the odds, despite the skeptics, he's becoming the heartbeat of Browns Nation. Today we're diving into how Shedeur Sanders is using diehard fans to send a bold message to his competition, and why the Browns might just have a new fan favorite under center. Stick around. You're going to want to hear this. For decades, the Cleveland Browns have mostly been an afterthought when it comes to national media attention. That's what tends to happen when a franchise has never hoisted a Super Bowl trophy and hasn't appeared in an AFC championship game since 1990. But all of that has started to shift, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. The moment the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders, everything changed. Suddenly, there were more cameras, more conversations, and far more eyes on the dog pound than Cleveland fans have seen in years. As the quarterback competition heats up between veterans like Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and the promising Shedeur Sanders, one thing has become clear. The fans are rallying behind the rookie. Sanders isn't just another young player trying to earn his stripes. He arrived in Cleveland with name recognition, charisma, and a work ethic that people instantly respected. And while his on-field reps are still limited, his connection to the fans is already championship caliber. One longtime Cleveland sports fanatic, a podcast host known as Screech De Niro, took things to the next level. This devoted fan didn't just cheer from afar. He bought himself a Shedeur Sanders Browns jersey, snapped a photo, and tagged Sanders directly on social media. In his post, he made a heartfelt plea for Sanders to be named the team's starting quarterback, declaring him the true QB1. And Sheduur, he noticed. Not only did Sanders repost the image, but he also added a fire emoji, signaling his appreciation and perhaps his quiet confidence. Interestingly, this wasn't the first time Sanders acknowledged fans this way. Just a couple of weeks earlier, another supporter shared his desire to own a Sanders number 12 Browns jersey for his wedding anniversary. Sanders responded then too, building a growing bond with the fan base that's starting to feel electric. What makes this latest moment even more intriguing is that De Niro declared he would be at training camp to cheer Sanders on in person. It's clear that Sheduur approves of the support, and with every repost and reaction, he's solidifying his presence not just as a player, but as a leader within the community. Now let's be honest, with the regular season still 2 months away, Sanders remains a long shot to land the starting job right out of the gate. The odds are stacked against a fifth-round rookie, and some believe he's hovering closer to the roster bubble than the top of the depth chart. But if there's one thing the NFL teaches us every year, it's that anything can happen in training camp and the preseason. There will be opportunities for Sanders to show what he's made of and to close the gap between himself and the rest of the quarterback room. One of the 4 quarterbacks currently on the Browns roster is expected to be moved before the season kicks off. And if you ask around, most insiders agree that the likeliest names in that conversation are Flacco, Gabriel, and yes, Sanders. But don't count Sheduur out just yet. The way he's connecting with the fans, the hunger he's showing, and the confidence he carries suggests that he might just surprise everyone when it matters most. And if Cleveland's diehard supporters have anything to say about it, QB1 might be wearing number 12 sooner than anyone thought. So what do you think? Can Shedeur Sanders actually win the starting job in Cleveland, or is it just a feel-good underdog story with no real ending? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Cleveland Browns fans, you might want to brace yourselves for this one, because what I'm about to reveal is not for the faint of heart. Once upon a time, the Browns were the team nobody wanted to line up against. They had firepower at every skill position you could imagine. 2 top 20 wide receivers, a top 15 tight end, the best running back in the league, and one of the 10 best quarterbacks leading the charge. But folks, that era is long gone. And now, the harsh reality is setting in with a brand new ranking that has slammed the Browns' current roster, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. The days of Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, and Baker Mayfield lighting up the field feel like a distant memory. Some of those departures turned out to be blessings in disguise, while others left gaping holes the team has struggled to fill ever since. Back then, even after a few stars had moved on, Cleveland still had reliable names like Njoku, Amari Cooper, and the unstoppable Nick Chubb. Fast forward to now, and only one of those names remains, David Njoku. And while he's had his moments and even made a Pro Bowl, it's fair to say he's never fully lived up to the sky-high expectations set when he was drafted in 2017. Today, for better or worse, Njoku stands as the best all-around skill position player the Browns have left. It's no surprise, then, that ESPN recently ranked the Browns' skill position group as the 29th best in the entire league. Yes, you heard that right, 29th out of 32 teams. The article breaking down this brutal ranking pointed out the glaring lack of proven talent across every offensive position. When it comes to wide receivers, things are looking shaky at best. Jerry Jeudy might be the presumed top option, but he's yet to show he can be consistently reliable heading into 2024. Beyond him, it's anyone's guess who might step up. Cedric Tillman seems like the next in line, but with how poorly the Browns have drafted and developed receivers under GM Andrew Berry and head coach Kevin Stefanski, it wouldn't shock anyone if Tillman didn't even make it through training camp. If you think I'm exaggerating, remember what happened to David Bell not long after he was drafted. That situation left fans scratching their heads and questioning the front office's eye for talent. The tight end room isn't much better either. Past Njoku, there's virtually no depth. Pro Football Focus only ranks Njoku as the 15th best tight end in the league, and while he has the ability to punish defenses from time to time, calling him elite would be a stretch. Who lines up alongside him this season is anyone's guess, and that battle might be one of the few interesting storylines to watch in training camp. Now let's talk about the running backs, arguably the most uncertain but intriguing group on the roster. Jerome Ford has shown flashes and looks like a decent option. Is he starter material? That's hard to say. The Browns themselves seemed unsure as they went out and drafted not one but two running backs in the 2025 NFL Draft. Second-round pick Quinshon Judkins appears to have the inside track on challenging Ford for the starting role, but fourth-round selection Dylan Sampson has a lot of supporters who believe he could turn heads if given the chance. Of course, none of them are Nick Chubb in his prime, and it's unlikely anyone reaches that level anytime soon. Still, with the right opportunities, these young backs could surprise people. And honestly, they'll need to, because looking at this roster, it's crystal clear why ESPN ranked the Browns so low. The offensive talent pool is thin, and unless some unproven players rise to the occasion, this team is staring down the barrel of a tough season. Now, if a few of these guys step up and deliver breakout performances, it could completely change the narrative. An underdog story like that would be fantastic, the kind of thing that reminds you why you watch football in the first place. But at this moment, with most of the roster untested and expectations bottomed out, it's tough to confidently predict anything other than a rough road ahead for Cleveland's offense. What if I told you the Cleveland Browns might be one trade away from completely reshaping their future? That's right. A potential blockbuster deal is being whispered about, and it could turn everything we thought we knew about this team on its head. Stay tuned because this one's about a move that could shake the entire AFC North. Now let's set the stage. The Browns have had a rather quiet offseason. While other teams were making splashy moves, Cleveland played it safe for the most part. One interesting decision they made was to spark a four-man quarterback competition on the roster. Yes, 4 quarterbacks, but that wasn't even the boldest or most surprising part of their strategy. The real head-scratcher came when general manager Andrew Berry chose not to add another starting-caliber wide receiver. Now, don't get me wrong. Jerry Jeudy was solid last season, but anyone watching the Browns can tell you they desperately need more firepower at that position. Many fans and analysts expected that help would arrive during the 2025 NFL Draft. There was heavy speculation that the Browns had their eyes set on none other than Travis Hunter. But in a shocking twist, Berry traded that pick away and didn't select a single wide receiver throughout the entire draft. Not one. But here's where things get really interesting. There's a proven star wide receiver who could soon be available, and his name is Terry McLaurin. The veteran wideout from the Washington Commanders has quietly built an impressive career and just wrapped up another productive season. Last year, McLaurin hauled in 82 passes for 1,096 yards and 13 touchdowns. At 29 years old, he's still playing at an elite level and could be exactly what Cleveland's offense needs. Now you might be asking, would the Browns actually consider making a move like this? Well, according to Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland, the team should at least entertain the idea. While she doesn't believe a major trade for someone like McLaurin is expected, she emphasized it's something worth discussing. And let's be real, when a player of McLaurin's caliber becomes available, smart franchises pay attention. Cabot put it this way, once a Terry McLaurin comes along, you have to at least consider it. You have to weigh the pros and cons and determine what that might look like over the next 4 years or something like that. And honestly, she's not wrong. Even if Cleveland isn't actively hunting for a big-ticket wide receiver, the opportunity to land someone like McLaurin doesn't come around often. Of course, there are valid concerns. McLaurin is approaching 30, and the Browns still don't have a clear answer at quarterback. With uncertainty under center, is this really the right moment to swing big on a high-priced receiver? Maybe not. But if the front office suddenly decides it's time to get aggressive and push for a deep playoff run sooner rather than later, a move like this could be the spark that changes everything. Right now, the most likely scenario is that Cleveland sticks with its current roster heading into the 2025 season. However, if Andrew Berry and the Browns decide to pull the trigger on a blockbuster trade for Terry McLaurin, it would send a loud message to the rest of the league that the Browns are done waiting and ready to win now.